If you are a fan of 80s action, games with that retro feel, and explosions that would make the T-800 himself smile, Terminator 2D No Fate is the kind of game you need to check out right now. Blending the best of the classic arcade style with a stylized recreation of the Terminator universe, this title is pure fan service, but with an identity all its own that goes far beyond nostalgia. Today, I'm going to show you 10 reasons why you can't miss this game, and some of them will make you say, "Hasta la vista, baby," in a totally new way. I'm Matthew, and the video is about to begin. There's something magical when a modern game decides to fully embrace the pixelated look, not as a limitation, but as a sincere homage. Terminator 2D No Fate does exactly this. The first thing that grabbed me was how it translates the dark, metallic atmosphere of the original film into the arcade style. You look at the screen and feel as if you've discovered a hidden machine in an arcade lost to time, one that captures the entire essence of the Terminator with every single pixel. The 2D art here isn't just beautiful, it respects the legacy. Seeing the pixelated Sarah Connor with that warrior stance the film immortalized is almost like seeing a painting lovingly crafted by someone who truly understands the material. The T-800 with its cold, metallic gaze, and the T-1000 flowing like animated mercury in 16 bits. These are representations that balance nostalgia and reverence. But the true charm lies in the details. Shadows mix with neon, explosions flash like those in a classic arcade, and every scenario seems to tell a story. There is a handcrafted feeling in everything, as if the artist spent hours reviewing film scenes to nail the exact tone. It's the kind of care that makes the player feel like they are revisiting something they already love, but from a new perspective. And the most impressive thing is how this style sparks memories. I remember when games had to suggest more than they showed, and that made the imagination work. No Fate masterfully rescues that. Every sprite has personality, every pixelated expression carries emotion. It's a love letter, not just to the classics, but to an entire era of gaming culture. In the end, what makes the graphics of Terminator 2D No Fate so special is the respect for the past combined with the enthusiasm of the present. It's a game that doesn't try to be a modern blockbuster, but rather a celebration of what made us fall in love with video games. The style, the art, and the feeling of being in front of something made by fans, for fans. You know that kind of game that hooks you within the first few minutes, not because it's pretty or cinematic, but because it's simply fun to play? Terminator 2D No Fate hits the bullseye with gameplay that feels straight out of the arcade, but with a surprising fluidity and variety. It doesn't limit itself to a single style, it's a veritable festival of 2D action. One moment, you're blasting enemies in an explosive run-and-gun shootout, reminiscent of the days of Contra and Metal Slug. The next, the game shifts the pace and puts you in tense stealth sections, where every step and every shadow counts. This variation provides a constant flavor of novelty. It never feels like you're playing the same stage twice. The car chases are another highlight. They bring that pure adrenaline, with gunfire, explosions, and the T-1000 coming after you like a metallic nightmare. It's the kind of sequence that makes you lean forward in your chair, even knowing everything is pixelated. And when it's time for the boss battles, well, that's where the game shows its strong arcade DNA pulsing. Huge bosses, challenging patterns, and that classic, just one more try feeling. The most incredible thing is how everything flows naturally. There are no abrupt breaks between the styles. Every moment seems designed to surprise the player and keep the rhythm going. It's a blend of old and new that works almost surgically. The game respects the challenge of the classics, but with precise controls and quick responses that make dying and trying again something pleasurable. No Fate is the kind of experience that makes us remember why arcades were so addictive. It offers variety, intensity, and that learning curve that rewards those who persist. It's hard to stop, and perhaps that is the best possible homage to the golden age of video games, making the player feel the same gut-wrenching thrill they felt in front of a machine flashing "insert coin." One of the things that excites me the most is how each character has their own identity in the gameplay. It's not just a skin or weapon swap. Each hero genuinely changes the way you play. Amidst the pixelated chaos, you feel the differences in the pace, the strategies, and even the characters' stances. This gives the game a soul that goes far beyond the shooting and the explosions. Sarah Connor is perhaps the most immediately impressive. Agile, fast, and a master of hand-to-hand combat, she is pure, raw energy in motion. When you execute a precise slide or take down an enemy with a quick strike, it's impossible not to feel that instant pride. It's the survivor Sarah, fighting fiercely against the inevitable. Playing as her is a test of reflex and precision, which makes every victory even sweeter. The T-800 is another story entirely. Heavy, imposing, and simply unstoppable. He doesn't run, he advances. And the sound of the shoulder-mounted cannon echoing is pure power. Controlling the T-800 gives an almost cathartic feeling, as if the whole world were a wall ready to be smashed through. He represents the brute force of old games, where every step felt like an impact on the ground. And then comes John Connor, balancing everything with his tactical and versatile style. Equipped with a plasma rifle and bombs, he is the brains of the operation, combining run and gun with strategy. Every stage with him requires quick decisions: when to attack, when to retreat, when to use the arsenal to its fullest. Playing as John feels like you are truly leading the resistance, a step ahead of the machines. This dynamic between styles creates something few 2D games achieve: real variety within the action. You don't choose a character just for looks or charisma. You choose because each one offers a different type of fun. It's the kind of design that makes you want to replay the stages, try new approaches, and discover who best matches your style. And in the end, that's what keeps Terminator 2D No Fate so addictive. The feeling that every hero has their own moment to shine. What surprised me most about the game is how it's not content with just recreating what we already know. It goes further. It takes the film's foundation and transforms it into something new, expanding the universe in a way that feels natural and full of respect for the original material. Playing this game is like watching an alternative version of T2, where you are in control of the decisions that shape humanity's destiny. The iconic scenes are all there. The bar where the T-800 gets his jacket, the canal chase with the T-1000, the Cyberdyne lab exploding in fire and metal. But the coolest thing is that the game mixes these memories with original scenarios that fit the film's tone perfectly. It's as if they took the pages left out of James Cameron's script and turned them into gameplay. The multiple ending system adds a special touch. Your choices truly matter, leading to different paths and unexpected consequences. Sometimes, a simple deviation can change a character's fate. And that's where the No Fate mode comes in, which is basically the heart of the replayability. It alters decisions, unlocks secret stages, and even remixes weapons that make you rethink every playthrough. Terminator 2D No Fate proves that you can tell new stories within a classic without losing the original DNA. It respects T2, but has the courage to expand, play, and reinvent. It's the kind of experience that not only brings nostalgia, but makes you want to discover every possible outcome. And when a game manages to do that with such a legendary universe, it's a sign that it understood what truly makes the end of Destiny worthwhile. You know that kind of game where even after you finish, you think, okay, just one more run. Well, Terminator 2D No Fate is exactly that. A game that understands that true fun comes when there's always something new to try, a new challenge to overcome. The replayability here is simply insane, and I'm not exaggerating. Each mode completely changes the rhythm of the experience, and it's impressive how the game manages to stay fresh every time you return to it. Story mode is the heart of the matter, the one that hooks you with the narrative and puts you face to face with the weight of the post-apocalyptic world. But the game doesn't stop there. Arcade mode unlocks that pure, straight-to-the-point competitive side. Continuous action, scoring, and reflexes. It's almost a tribute to classic arcades, but with a modern, fluid approach. You play thinking about improving, about getting further, in that constant search for the perfect run. Now, if you like testing your limits, Infinite mode is a delicious trap. It has no end. It's about how long you can survive. Every attempt becomes its own story, full of tension and small victories. And just when you think you've mastered everything, Boss Rush mode comes along to remind you who's boss. It's just you, your skill, and a brutal sequence of bosses that tests every reflex. The cherry on top is Mother of the Future and level training. One brings an extra challenge that seems designed for those who truly want to dominate every system, every mechanic. The other is perfect for training your skills without pressure. This gives the game incredible depth. It not only entertains, but makes you want to get better, to master every detail. And best of all, the ranks and high scores system. You don't play just for the sake of playing. You play to get to the top, to get your name recorded. It's that old competitive feeling that is so satisfying. Terminator 2D No Fate is not just another side-scrolling action title. It's a game that understands the pleasure of returning, repeating, and constantly improving. This type of design is what keeps a game alive and makes us always press start again. The soundtrack of Terminator 2D No Fate is the kind of thing you feel on your skin, not just here in the background. If there's one thing that always made the Terminator unforgettable, it's the music. And here, they understood that perfectly. It's not just another action game soundtrack. It's a score that pulls the full emotional weight of the war against the machines and throws it right in your face as you play. The recreations of the legendary T2 score are a showstopper. You know that classic theme that gives you chills just as it starts? It returns here with full force, but adapted to match the 2D rhythm and constant action. It's a huge respect for the original, but without sounding like a lazy copy. Every iconic track comes in at the right moments, and this transforms stages and bosses into scenes worthy of cinema. Only you are in control. But what really gets me are the new compositions. They sound as if they've always been part of the Terminator universe. They fit so well. It's not just nostalgia, it's expansion. There's music that pushes the adrenaline high in the most chaotic shootouts, and there are darker ones that recall the weight of the war, of the resistance, of the feeling that the world is already gone and you are fighting against the inevitable. The combination of heavy sound, synthesizers, that industrial atmosphere, and the visual of the future war creates an absurd immersion. You're not just passing a level, you feel like you are advancing on a front line, every step accompanied by a soundtrack that comments on what is happening on screen. When a game nails the music like this, even the difficult parts become more enjoyable to repeat, because you want to hear that track again in the heat of the action. And that's why this soundtrack is a huge reason not to ignore Terminator 2D No Fate. It doesn't just work as a backdrop, it elevates everything: the narrative, the combat, the tension, the atmosphere of despair and resistance. It's the kind of score that makes you take off your headphones and still have the theme stuck in your head, as if you had just walked out of an epic action movie. If you like it when a game hooks you with its vibe, with its atmosphere, here the music does half that job alone. This is the kind of thing that has always been missing in Terminator universe games, truly seeing the future war, instead of just a few quick flashes. In Terminator 2D No Fate, playing as John Connor puts you exactly in the eye of the storm, leading the resistance on missions that convey that feeling of, if this goes wrong here, humanity is over. It's not just destroyed scenery in the background. The game puts you on the front line, with real responsibility within this world. The coolest part is that these future missions don't feel like an extra thrown in just to say there's more content. They function as a natural expansion of the story, taking those few minutes of war that the film shows and stretching it into entire stages, full of objectives, threats, and combat decisions. The feeling is that of finally entering that vision that always remained only in the imagination of those who saw the movie. As John Connor, you're not just another soldier shooting at robots. You're the guy who's leading the resistance, taking the lead in critical missions against Skynet. Every advance across the battlefield, every confrontation against iconic machines conveys a sense of weight, as if every victory is pushing the future a centimeter away from extinction. This gives a much greater sense of protagonism than simply following a predefined script. Another thing that stands out is how these missions mix the classic run-and-gun vibe with the idea of strategic resistance operations. It's not just running and shooting. You find yourself using cover, dealing with different types of Skynet units, and facing bosses that look like true war machines made to crush you. All of this helps sell the feeling that this war is big, dirty, and desperate, much more so than the little that was seen in the cinema. And that is exactly why this expansion of the future war is such a strong reason not to let Terminator 2D No Fate slip by. The game takes one of the most fascinating elements of the T2 universe, which was always just a glimpse, and transforms it into something playable, intense, and constant. If the idea of leading the resistance alongside John Connor always seemed like a distant dream, here that dream becomes your objective from stage to stage. You know when a game feels straight out of a 90s memory, but made with the care and expertise of those who truly understand what makes an arcade unforgettable? Terminator 2D No Fate is all of that, thanks to Bitmap Bureau, the guys behind Final Vendetta, Battle Axe, and Xenocrisis. These developers are absolute masters at recreating the retro essence without falling into the trap of empty nostalgia. They build perfect arcades with sharp mechanics and a fluidity that makes you forget it's 2025. What impresses me about Bitmap Bureau is how they take the DNA of arcade classics and inject new life into it. Final Vendetta has that raw and addictive beat-em-up feel. Battle Axe brings the relentless run and gun, and Xenocrisis elevates the shooter with waves of enemies that test every pixel of skill. Here, they apply all of that to the Terminator 2 universe, transforming shootouts against Skynet into arcade sessions that stick to your soul. It's the kind of game that flows as if it had been polished for years in arcades. And it's not just me who thinks so. Mike Tucker, the director, said that this is the T2 game we should have had in our youth. He hit the nail on the head. Imagine going back in time and finding a Nintendo cartridge or an arcade cabinet with Terminator 2 made by retro geniuses. It would be exactly this. Furious side-scrolling action, strategic power-ups, epic bosses, and that feeling of just one more coin. Bitmap Bureau doesn't copy, they honor and enhance. The result is a game that perfectly captures what made arcades so magnetic. Fair difficulty that rewards practice, pixel art visuals that pulsate with personality, and a pace that doesn't let you blink. Every stage seems designed for eternal high scores, with secrets and routes that reward those who master the timing. It's as if they've distilled the best of the 80s, 90s into a formula that still crushes the competition today. Therefore, ignoring Terminator 2D No Fate would be missing the chance to play something that fills a giant void in the history of T2 games. Bitmap Bureau proves once again why they are the kings of modern retro. They make you feel young again, but with the mastery of those who know exactly what the audience wants. If you grew up dreaming of sci-fi action arcades, this is your call to dive right in. You know that kind of game that hooks you within the first few minutes, not because it's pretty or cinematic, but because it's simply fun to play? Terminator 2D No Fate hits the bullseye with gameplay that feels straight out of the arcade, but with a surprising fluidity and variety. It doesn't limit itself to a single style. It's a veritable festival of 2D action. One moment, you're blasting enemies in an explosive run-and-gun shootout, reminiscent of the days of Contra and Metal Slug. The next, the game shifts the pace and puts you in tense stealth sections, where every step and every shadow counts. This variation provides a constant flavor of novelty. It never feels like you're playing the same stage twice. The car chases are another highlight. They bring that pure adrenaline, with gunfire, explosions, and the T-1000 coming after you like a metallic nightmare. It's the kind of sequence that makes you lean forward in your chair, even knowing everything is pixelated. And when it's time for the boss battles, well, that's where the game shows its strong arcade DNA pulsing. Huge bosses, challenging patterns, and that classic, just one more try feeling. The most incredible thing is how everything flows naturally. There are no abrupt breaks between the styles. Every moment seems designed to surprise the player and keep the rhythm going. It's a blend of old and new that works almost surgically. The game respects the challenge of the classics, but with precise controls and quick responses that make dying and trying again something pleasurable. No Fate is the kind of experience that makes us remember why arcades were so addictive. It offers variety, intensity, and that learning curve that rewards those who persist. It's hard to stop, and perhaps that is the best possible homage to the golden age of video games, making the player feel the same gut-wrenching thrill they felt in front of a machine flashing "Insert coin." If you are one of those who feel a chill down their spine just by seeing pixel art and 8 and 16-bit sounds, No Fate is made for you. This game not only recreates the aesthetics of arcade classics, but also delivers that feeling of playing a title that could have been released in the 90s, but with today's polish. Every detail, from the soundtrack to the enemy design, is an invitation to pure nostalgia, without losing the freshness of a modern game. The best part is that this experience is not confined to a single platform. Released on several, you can play on your favorite console, PC, or even portable devices, without losing the essence of the arcade. This means that no matter where you are, you can dive into this retro universe at any time. It's the kind of game that can be played in quick sessions or marathons, always with the same quality and vibe, regardless of the screen. For those who grew up collecting cartridges, spending coins in arcades, or dreaming of sci-fi adventures at the pinball machine, this game is a true gift. It brings together the best of the past, the fair difficulty, the frantic pace, the no-frills action, and delivers it in a package that respects the legacy of the classics, but with a modern touch that leaves no one out. And the fact that it is multi-platform ensures that this nostalgia is not exclusive to those with a specific machine. It can be played on your PC, your home console, or even taken to play with friends, expanding the reach of the fun. It doesn't matter if you prefer a big screen or playing on the go, the arcade essence remains intact. Therefore, if you are a fan of retro games and want something that works anywhere, Terminator 2D No Fate is the kind of title that is worth every second. It combines the best of nostalgia with the practicality of being wherever you are, transforming every playthrough into a time warp with the adrenaline of the golden years of gaming.